Thank you very much, Selvinder, for joining us here today. I really appreciate it, and let's talk about a little bit about yourself and your story, but also as a person, the things that you enjoy, the hobbies that you do. What sort of things are you into?
Jonathan, thank you for inviting me to this program. My background is I've been a lecturer in IT. I have a great interest in history, and I do write on history of Asia and also history of the British people in this country as well. So I do write periodically articles and even do video productions on what's going on in the world. So I have an interest in, you could say, in history, politics, and my main background is in the technological field in IT.
Amazing. And it's interesting how we met as well because we met out of the blue and in Richmond, and it was really good to meet and just strike up a conversation. So and as it happens, obviously being fascinated by your area of knowledge in complementary medicine and holistic medicine, but also, like you say, history and the history of um, many parts of the world. It'll be really good to see how the history of particularly we'll talk about India today, and also and in terms of holistic medicine and complementary
Sure.
medicine, how that ties in. So coming to that, what's your personal experience of complementary medicine in India, but also across the world? I gather you've really had quite an experience with uh, medicine from across the globe, really.
Yeah, I was in Australia and suddenly I heard that my sister, who lived in England, had cancer. And obviously, we panicked and we came back to England. I lived in Australia for 20 years, from 79 to 1999. When we heard my sister had cancer, we came back and we thought, well, we'll do our best in order to save her. But it's such a dreaded disease that if it's discovered too late, it's like stage four. It can be done. People can be saved through a natural approach, but it becomes harder. The earlier it is detected, the easier it becomes. However, we did a lot of research. Although we were given a very short time, we did a lot of research on a natural approach. That's the first time I became exposed to that, because the doctors here had basically refused and said, look, she's got no chance. She's going to pass away in so many weeks. And so we tried very hard, as anybody would, desperately, any clutch to any straw, you could say, that could save the
Yeah.
situation. So I did a lot of research on natural approach to cancer, and to my amazement, there was a huge history behind a clinic in Mexico who used a diet called the Gerson diet. Then I discovered how certain plants, extracts from certain plants, could also help a person. Because ultimately, cancer is a disease where the cells degenerate. And we began to look at a fourfold approach. How can diet help? Because what we put into the body is going to have a bearing on how healthy we are, because how healthy our cells are. And healthier the cells, healthier the tissues, healthier the organs, and becomes a holistic approach. Coupled with that, we found exercise is very important. So diet becoming a natural based diet, and exercise is very important because that also gives you oxygen to the body and give you a better tone for the body. And then stress is a big killer, Jonathan, that we live in countries where stress has really taken a heavy toll because, well, the tough situation we're going through. And that adds to it. So we had to find ways of de-stressing the body, and of course supplements. So we took a fourfold approach: the diet, make sure there's lightly cooked vegetables, natural as possible, not processed. Avoided processed foods, because one of the biggest killer is processed foods. We've been in India, cancer was unknown, diabetes was unknown virtually, and it may have existed, but not to the level it exists now. And ever
Mm.
since our countries have been exposed to the type of lifestyle and the type of food which is in these countries, now you get lots of McDonald's spreading like mushrooms there, KFCs, and any food that's cooked over 48 degrees kills enzymes. And if you kill the goodness of food, then that's what you're putting in. And what's going to be the outcome of your cells? Cells need nutrients, they need a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals every day for the cells to remain healthy, and that can only be taken from a good supply of food. But if what you're putting in, the enzymes that kill the enzymes help to digest the food, then you're putting, you can say, virtually dead, eating dead food. You put the wrong fuel in a car, it's not going to function. Same with the body. If you don't put the right food in the car, it's not going to perform well.
Yes.
So that's the one approach we took, as I mentioned. I began to closely examine my sister because I was a lecturer. I even gave up my job. I thought, well, human life is most precious. And so I spent a lot of time with her. I began to examine her every day. And when a person has cancer, they get more anemic because of depletion of oxygen. They become more, you could say, darker in complexion. Whereas in her case, I began to see a slight reversal. And then when I used to look into her eyes, her tongue, it began to be more pink, the complexion. So I felt that something was working, but we were fighting against time. And when one thing, the problem with the cancer is that the pain associated with the cancer is so intense. That's one area we couldn't tackle properly at that time because it's the first time we've been looking at a natural approach. And although her body complexion was showing that we were making some progress, but in reality, what was happening, the pain was really, and she was taking a lot of painkillers and didn't even tell us actually. And then she had an internal hemorrhage, and that caused some sort of blood to leak, and that led to a heart attack. So we will never know that whether it was a cancer that killed her, because the doctors in the end did say it didn't look like it was a cancer.